Hey, 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 this is Sarah Noel Block, and you are listening to Tiny Marketing. This is the Uncut Summer Series where you are getting the raw, unfiltered, unedited recordings from our interviews, webinars, and workshops. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ridiculousness. Hello. It is so good to be back and share my next Uncut Summer Series episode. This is my conversation with Jen Anderson, who is a professional wing woman and just an amazing, warm heart person. She hangs out on LinkedIn. So if you follow me there, you've seen a lot of chitty chat between me and her in the comment section of each other's posts. But Jen in this episode shared some gold about how to follow up after an event to start closing sales. And she kills it at this. So if you have events in your marketing strategy, which I highly recommend, it is such a great time sensitive, active lead generator, then you'll want to listen to this episode so you can learn how to better convert those event attendees to sales. So enjoy.
I am Jen Anderson. I am a professional wing woman, which is also known as an online business manager. So I partner with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs to help them with strategy, accountability, sort of doing the back end collaboration piece of things when they don't have anybody to collaborate with. So that is my superpower.
Yeah, when you told me about that, I'm like, I need a you. That sounds so nice when you work alone to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. And then based on what we're doing together, sometimes I take those ideas and run. Sometimes I help them strategize it so they move forward. So there's all kinds of different ways that I can help support and help them get some of those things done. In addition to, just sort of the strategy piece and the planning and the project management part of things.
Yeah, we were talking about how you do that for one of your clients who relies pretty heavily on events to fill her pipeline, which is something we've been talking about on Tiny Marketing for months now at this point. I had a call to action to have a lot of content on this for Q1. And well, the people rose to the challenge, and I've had so many amazing guests on this. But we have not touched on what you are touching on, and that is how to maintain those relationships after, which is where so many people, it falls apart there because you get the cards, the event is so hard that you're like, relief, I don't have to think about this anymore. But then nothing happens. You need to actually convert those leads. So tell me, what is your process for that?
Yeah. So the power is in the follow-up. So the power is in the follow-up and reaching back to those relationships that you made in the fun of the event or the heat of the event. It's like, oh, I met all these great people and I'll come home and I'll tell my husband. And, at first it was like, wow. And then like you just said, Sarah, it's like you go and just don't kind of do anything with them. But it's like, you met those people for a reason. You connected at the event. Are they in an industry that you're interested in? Are they, you can really kind of categorize these people. Like, is it actually somebody that could be a client for me? So then there's one way to maybe start that conversation. Is it somebody that could be a power partner that could help refer me to other people that might be a client for me? Or is it someone that is sort of in an industry or in a community that I'm a part of, and we kind of want to just keep that relationship going because you never know when 6 months from now they're going to say, oh, hey, I do have somebody that would be a great client for you, or there's a project that I need some support with, and they automatically think of you. So I think that's a big part of it is kind of figuring out where those connections sort of where they live, right, in your brain or in your spreadsheet or in your CRM or your system. So that's sort of the first step. And then reaching back out, whether that's on LinkedIn. Usually, I start with LinkedIn because that's how I connect with people at the event.
That's how I start
I pull up my link. Yeah, it's so easy. They make it so easy. It's like I pull up my phone, I get my little QR code, and they scan me, and it's like, now we're best friends. So great.
Yes.
Um, but then it just gives you an opportunity to go back and send them your meeting link and say, hey, let's, after the sort of frenzy of the event, let's have a 20-minute, 30-minute conversation, just one-on-one over a Zoom, and just tell each other a little bit more about one another. How did you start? Where did you come from? And that gives you an opportunity to get that person's vibe and get to know them a little bit more and see if they're really the right fit for you, or if you say, oh, I have somebody else in my network that would be a really good fit for you.
So I'll reiterate what you just said, a little recappy. So when you're
Yeah.
at the event, you pull up your LinkedIn and you put it on the QR code mode so they can just scan and go straight to your profile. So then you connect that
Yep.
way. And then you follow up to have a one-on-one conversation. And I do mine in 15 minutes. I do like a power speed dating kind of connection
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
But how long did you say yours are?
I'll say like 30 minutes, 30-minute
Yeah,
Zoom.
30 minutes is a
I
good
try not to
average.
over. Yeah. Yeah. I don't overbook my week. But I'll take a couple here, each week, and get to know people that way, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. And you do a vibe check. You see if they fall into one of three categories. And that would be, what could they be a client? Could they be like a power referrer? Or are they in the same industry and maybe you guys can give each other business that doesn't make sense for the other person?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, your
Yeah.
client
And it's funny
also,
because, oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to move on to a different topic. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, it's funny because, like, I've also had people that I've connected with after an event that will then lead me to someone else finding me on LinkedIn and saying, hey, we have 20 connections in common. And
There
then
are
they want to connect.
Yes, this happens all the time. Or someone that you don't think would really be a good fit for a referral partner or fall into any of those categories turns out to
Mhm.
introduce you to someone who leads you to one of those three categories. So these connections can just lead to the next to the next. And, everyone says your network is your net worth. And it's true.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I heard one too with that difference between networking and not working is just one letter.
yeah. And I did not
So,
realize how true that was until a really slow quarter I had. I was like, "Oh my." So this is what it feels like.
mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so I spent all of my time networking and just digging real deep into biz dev that quarter. And the difference it made in my pipeline was nuts. Like, it does make all
Yeah.
the difference in the world. I'm like, "That's so old school." No, you need to do
Yeah.
it.
It's like, yeah, it's so impactful, I think people think that, sort of those passive social media is great and, your posts and all those kinds of things, but they're a little bit more passive when you're not, unless
Yeah.
you know, comment, share, reach. You have to be interacting with those people. Otherwise, they're just reading a page and then, moving
Yes.
along.
LinkedIn is a great
Yeah.
channel to network. You could build these relationships straight on there too. When you're not at an actual event, it's like little watering holes you can get in and meet people. I have two people in my DMs right now who just sent me their calendar links because I'm like, let's hang out. Let's do a one-on-one. And
Exactly.
it happens all the time. So those people slipping into your DMs, it's beneficial for both of you.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah,
thing that I
absolutely.
wanted to move to was your client that you were mentioning also hosts a lot of events, not just attending, but hosts a lot of events. So when
Mhm.
attendees been to one of them, what do you do next?
Great question. We do follow up with all of the attendees when they attend an event. We have we'll set up a sequence and do follow up email, thanks for coming to the event. First of all, you want to thank everybody for coming. They put their time and their effort and their energy into that. And then ask them do you have feedback? What could we do differently? What could we do? What could we do to elevate your experience? Because the people that are attending are the people that know what they're looking for.
That is
so
true.
let's ask them. And yeah, exactly. And then just kind of keeping that sort of like flow connection together. Like, how can we support you with more information? How can we support you with, partnerships down the road? So kind of just making sure that you keep those people sort of nurtured in that sequence, because they spent the time to come and be with you. And so there was something there to begin with, and you most likely made a connection with some or most or all of the people, hopefully all the people. It depends on the size of the event, but, really just making sure that you acknowledge that and continue to keep that relationship going is really super important.
Yeah. And along that line, when it comes to service businesses, selling directly during that event, it's usually not going to happen, especially with high ticket services, which most of us, that's what we're selling, is a higher ticket service. And it takes a nurture sequence. It takes these connections to actually get people ready to buy. They're not going to be ready to buy 98% of the time from the event alone. So this sequence that you put them through afterwards makes a huge difference. Now, what have you seen has been a better success? Doing an automated sequence or like a one-to-one sequence after an event?
I kind of like a combination, to be honest. I like the automated because you want to make sure that you do reach everybody. But when people respond back, or you have somebody that you did have a personal relationship with, that's a one-on-one. So even if it's just an email and maybe you're not even offering a call because you don't need that at the moment, you're just taking the time to either the DM on LinkedIn, hey, it was great to see you. Just that conversation, just chatting, getting to know a little bit more about one another. It was fun to spend time doing whatever XYZ. Hey, here's a resource that I mentioned, giving them some more of your expertise so that they can get to know you a little bit better, and not necessarily selling them anything, but really that sort of that partnership where, hey, here, remember that article I told you about? Here's a link to that, what we were talking about, like those kinds of things. Hey, there's another event I'm attending. Here's the link to attend. I hope I get to see you there. That kind of thing. And then down the road, sort of just keeping those things in mind and making sure that you share those with people. That's how everybody gets to be a little bit elevated.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. It's more of a hybrid approach. So like post-event, you can have maybe your couple sequences, just like thanking them and asking for them for the feedback. If you have a recording of it, you can send them the recording so they can watch it on demand. Or if you send me any resources, but those replies, connecting with them one-on-one on LinkedIn and sliding into the DMs. I like to also do request, see if they want to do a one-on-one connection call via email and just like boomerang it back to me in case they didn't see it the first time. So
exactly.
Kind of automating manual.
Yeah, right. But that for a hybrid approach, so that you're still getting the personal connection, because that's what really makes a difference. It's the personal connection. I mean, I told you when we met there, I don't have a website. I've gotten all of my clients from referral.
Yeah.
Every person that
I
worked
know.
with.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just like, that's a real thing. Like, people want to work with somebody that they know, or somebody that they have some trust in, and you have to be able to get the connection first before they're going to be able to have any of that. When you work in corporate and you hire people, a million resumes come in, you have the benefit of an HR department and all these other people to sort of vet them. When you're
Mhm.
an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, and this whole company is your baby, you want to work with somebody that you have a good vibe with, like I mentioned, and
Yeah.
that you feel like you can trust and that you feel like you can understand a little bit about their expertise and their way of delivering things, you know?
Yes. That is exactly right. It's that know, like, trust factor. Like, okay, I feel like I know you after an event, and I know what your
Mhm.
personality is like because I chatted with you at that event. And then trust
Yep.
comes in the nurture. You have to have this
Uh-huh.
nurture in order to get people to, to earn their trust. I don't have to think of a
Mhm.
longer way to say it.
Absolutely.
Just earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some people that you meet and they might be really super nice, but they might just not be your your vibe. They might not be your ideal client in the way that deliver. I don't work with my hair on fire. I am very like calm, like we'll figure this out. We got it pretty easy going. So when I find that, the flip side of that vibe, I might have somebody else that might be a good fit for them, but maybe it's not me. And that's
Yeah.
okay. So that's part of the whole theory too, is, knowing and being really secure with the people that you want to spend all that time with.
That is a great point. And that, like, we started our businesses for a reason. It was, to live the life that we want to live. And if
Mhm.
you are working with people that aren't a good fit for you, you're going to feel that discomfort all the time, not just
Mhm.
during your work hours. You're always going to be a
Yeah.
little on edge when your phone rings or an email pops
Yeah.
in. It's not worth it.
Yeah. You know, no, I mean every pot has a lid, right? So there's somebody for everybody. And if it's not me, totally fine.
Yeah,
Because there's people out there for me. So that's kind of how I approach that too.
that is an excellent point. Some people like that. High pressure. It ain't me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And some people are like, "Wow, I want to dig in there," and I have my ways and my methods. I use a lot of intuition. I Part of what I did my previous job before this was, I had mentioned when we talked, I was in fitness for a really long time, and
Mhm.
fitness is it's very emotional. People come to fitness for they don't usually come walking in the door like, "Hey, I'm ready to change my whole life." They come in like, "My doctor said I have to come here," or "I have a reunion or a wedding and I have to do XYZ and get fit." So it's very emotional. And so I really learned for a long time that that's the part of the experience that I can really nurture and that I've become quite good at that emotional connection and emotional intelligence because the same in business. Now people just have a problem and they need somebody to help them solve it. So I can do that with you. We can make a connection and I can be that person if that's the right fit. So that's kind of
Yeah.
how I approach that too.
No,
Yeah.
it's yeah, not something that I was talking to someone earlier today where we were talking about like differentiation when you do something as someone else. Like you aren't the only online business manager out there, but no one else does it the way you do. No one else approaches it the way you
Right.
do. No one else is you. And that's your differentiator is that high emotional intelligence.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And I used to same thing. And I say that in fitness all the time too. There are instructors that are technically better than me, but my classes are going to be really, really full with my people, and they are because I know who my people are and I know how to help them. And they can go to another class, also fine. So,
Yeah.
and it's the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, there's probably about maybe an average of maybe 1 million online business managers out there right now. So we have a lot. There's a lot of us, but I'm the only wing woman, so that's the way I do it.
Yes. So if someone wants to work with you, how can they?
Wow, they can find my LinkedIn. I can share my LinkedIn with you or just they can email me. I'll give you my email address.
Yes, I will put both of those in the show notes so they can go directly to you and you guys can connect. You
Yep.
can have your own little connection call.
Absolutely. Yes, I would love that. Always fun to expand and meet new people. And, it's just so fun to be in there's no limit, right? There's not four walls here. We can connect with anybody in the world. So kind of makes it a little more fun, a little more exciting.
Yes, it does. Well, thank you for joining me. This was so helpful to hear how you do the follow up, because I know that you are the follow up person for your clients that are doing the events, and it's really working out well for you.
It's a lot of fun and I really enjoy it.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was really fun too. Thanks so much, Sarah.
If you enjoyed this episode, please, please, please remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and rate and review. But most importantly, tell your friends. Share this episode with a friend so other people know about Tiny Marketing and our Uncut Summer series. I will see you next week with another great one.